What if everything you believed about your own thinking was wrong? Not slightly off, not mildly distorted, fundamentally, architecturally wrong. Every decision you made today, what to wear, who to trust, what to fear, what to chase, was filtered through a system you never built, never approved, and never fully understood. A system installed quietly across years of experience, biology, and repetition. This is not a video about motivation. This is a video about the machinery behind your motivation and why understanding it changes everything. Psychology is not a soft science for therapy rooms and academic journals. It is the operating system of human behavior. And like any operating system, it runs thousands of background processes you never see, shaping your perception, editing your memory, and rewriting your reality in real time. Today, we examine 7 of the most powerful psychological facts ever documented, not to overwhelm you, not to make you doubt yourself, but to hand you something rare, a map of the mind you are already living inside. Let's begin. Fact number 1, the spotlight effect. You walk into a room. You stumble slightly. Your face flushes. You spend the next hour convinced that every person in that room noticed, judged, and remembers it. They don't. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect, our deeply ingrained tendency to overestimate how much attention others pay to us. Research from Cornell University confirmed it repeatedly. We believe we are center stage in everyone else's story. We are not. The implications are staggering. Most of the social anxiety you carry, most of the hesitation before you speak, create, or act, is a performance for an audience that has already looked away. You have been shrinking yourself for a spotlight that isn't on. Fact number 2, cognitive dissonance. The human mind does not like contradiction. When your actions conflict with your beliefs, the brain does not simply acknowledge the inconsistency. It rewrites the story until everything feels coherent again. This is cognitive dissonance, and it is relentless. It is why intelligent people defend poor decisions long after the evidence is clear. Why we justify bad habits, toxic relationships, and outdated beliefs. Not out of stupidity. Out of the mind's fierce need for internal consistency. The uncomfortable truth. Your brain is not always searching for what is true. It is searching for what fits. Fact number 3, the mere exposure effect. You don't choose what you love. Not entirely. Research by psychologist Robert Zajonc demonstrated that simple, repeated exposure to something increases your preference for it, regardless of its actual quality. The music you heard as a child, the faces you see daily, the ideas repeated in your environment. Familiarity, not merit, quietly becomes the foundation of preference. This means much of what feels like a personal choice is actually a product of proximity. Fact number 4, negativity bias. Your brain is not balanced. It never was. Neuroscience confirms that negative experiences are processed more deeply, remembered more vividly, and weighted more heavily than positive ones. One harsh word outlasts 10 compliments. One failure echoes longer than 5 successes. This is negativity bias, an evolutionary survival tool that has become a modern liability. It kept your ancestors alive in dangerous environments. Today, it keeps you replaying criticism at 2 a.m. instead of sleeping. The mind built for survival is not automatically built for success. Fact number 5, the pratfall effect. There is a silent war most people fight every single day. The war to appear flawless. Perfect answers. Curated images. Carefully edited versions of themselves served to the world. And yet, counterintuitively, relentlessly, perfection repels. In 1966, psychologist Elliot Aronson documented what he called the pratfall effect. His finding was elegant and devastating in equal measure. Highly competent individuals who openly display a mistake or vulnerability are rated as significantly more likable and trustworthy than those who appear flawless. The stumble, the honest admission, the moment of visible humanity. These do not diminish authority. They create it. The person in the room who says, "I got that wrong," is not weakened by those words. They are instantly elevated above everyone, still pretending they never do. Your imperfection is not your liability. It has always been your most underused asset. The world does not trust polished. The world trusts real. Fact number 6, decision fatigue. Every decision you make costs something invisible, and that cost is mental energy. Psychologist Roy Baumeister's landmark research confirmed what high performers instinctively understood. The quality of human decision-making deteriorates progressively throughout the day, not because people become careless, but because the cognitive resource powering every choice is finite, depletable, and rarely replenished between demands. This is decision fatigue, and it explains more about your life than you may be comfortable admitting. Why the diet breaks down at night, not at breakfast. Why significant mistakes in judgment tend to cluster in the afternoon. Why exhausted leaders make reckless calls that rested ones never would. The timing of your decisions is not neutral. It is outcome defining. The most disciplined people alive do not rely on willpower alone. They engineer their environment so that their most consequential choices arrive when the mind is sharpest, not as an afterthought squeezed between fatigue and distraction. Protect your mental energy like the finite resource it is, because every wasted decision is a tax on the life you are trying to build. Fact number 7, neuroplasticity as identity. And now, the one that changes everything. For most of recorded history, science assumed the adult brain was fixed, hardwired, a finished product incapable of structural change. Who you were at 30 was essentially who you would remain. That assumption was wrong. Neuroplasticity, one of the most extraordinary discoveries in modern neuroscience, proved that the brain physically reorganizes itself in response to repeated thought patterns, behaviors, and experiences. New neural pathways are formed. Old ones weaken. The architecture of the mind is not a monument. It is a living construction site. Every time you practice a thought, whether it is confidence or doubt, gratitude or resentment, possibility or limitation, you are not simply thinking it. You are building it, reinforcing it, embedding it deeper into the physical structure of who you are. This means one profound, irreversible truth. You are not your past patterns. You are your current practice. The anxious mind can be rebuilt. The pessimistic lens can be replaced. The identity you inherited from circumstance can be revised, not through wishful thinking, but through deliberate, repeated, neurologically documented reprogramming. You are not fixed. You never were. You are a brain that responds to what you consistently feed it. Step back. Look at all 7 together. You overestimate how much others watch you. Your brain edits reality to stay comfortable. Your preferences were shaped without your consent. Negativity lands harder than joy. Vulnerability builds more trust than perfection ever could. Your decisions decay across the day, and your identity is physically rebuilt by what you repeatedly think. One unified truth emerges from all 7. Your mind follows rules it never told you about, and most people live their entire lives governed by a system they never once examined. This is the divide that separates those who drift from those who direct. Not talent, not luck, not even discipline in the traditional sense. Awareness, the ruthless, honest, unflinching willingness to examine the machinery running beneath the surface of every thought, every reaction, every choice. You cannot master a system you refuse to understand. But once you see it, truly see it, you cannot unsee it. And that visibility becomes power. Not the loud, performative power of motivation that fades by Friday, but the quiet, structural power of a person who understands their own mind well enough to stop being unconsciously controlled by it. That is what psychology, at its finest, actually offers you. Most people will watch this video, feel something, and then return to exactly who they were before. But if you will let one of these 7 facts land somewhere deep, sit with it. Question something they stopped questioning years ago. And that single moment of honest self-examination will quietly rearrange everything that follows. The question was never whether your mind could change. The question was always whether you were paying enough attention to change it. Before you close this video, pause for just one moment. Out of these 7 psychological facts, which one hit you the hardest? Was it the spotlight effect, the realization that the audience judging you may never have existed? Was it neuroplasticity, the understanding that who you are today is not a sentence, but a starting point? Or was it something quieter, a fact that didn't shock you, but confirmed something you have felt for years without the language to name it? Drop it in the comments. Be specific, because here's what the psychology of learning actually tells us. The moment you articulate an insight out loud, you don't just remember it longer. You begin to live it.